The morning mist clung to the riverbank, obscuring the world in a veil of white. A lone figure lay sprawled on the damp earth, unmoving. This was Ruru. Her breath came in ragged gasps, pain lancing through her as she stirred. She tried to sit up, a groan escaping her lips. Her body screamed in protest, every muscle aching, every movement a monumental effort. She had no memory of who she was or how she got here. The rushing river beside her offered no answers, only the relentless rhythm of its flow.
What happened to me?
Ruru looked down at her mud-caked clothes, torn and bloodied. Her hand instinctively went to a large gash on her arm, still raw and throbbing. She had been injured badly. But why? And by whom? Fear gnawed at her, a cold fist clenching around her heart. She was alone, hurt, and lost. The only sound was the rushing water and the frantic beating of her own heart. Survival. The word echoed in Ruru's mind, a primal instinct overriding her fear. She had to move, had to find help. Slowly, painstakingly, she pulled herself up. Using a fallen tree trunk as support, she rose unsteadily to her feet. The world swayed around her, but she clung to the rough bark, willing herself not to fall. She had to keep moving.
I have to keep going.
Taking one hesitant step after another, she followed the course of the river. The forest seemed to press in on her, the tangled foliage hiding unseen dangers. Yet, she pressed on, fueled by a desperate hope for survival. Just when her strength was about to give out, she saw it. A plume of smoke rising above the trees in the distance. A village. Relief washed over her, bringing with it a fresh wave of pain. With the last of her strength, she stumbled towards the smoke, a beacon of hope in the wilderness. The villagers were kind, their faces etched with concern as they took her in. They bathed her wounds, offered her food and water, and provided a warm, safe place to rest. They asked no questions, sensing that she was not ready to speak of what had befallen her. As days turned into nights, Ruru slowly began to heal, both physically and emotionally. The warmth of the villagers, their simple acts of kindness, soothed her battered soul.
Here, drink this. It will help with the pain.
She learned their names, their stories, their hopes and dreams. They were simple people, farmers and artisans, living in harmony with nature. For the first time since waking up on the riverbank, Ruru felt a sense of belonging, of peace. She helped them in the fields, her laughter mingling with theirs as they worked. The nightmare of her past began to fade, replaced by the warmth of the present. But peace, like the calm before a storm, is a fragile thing, and trouble was brewing on the horizon. It arrived in the form of Vayankarchandra and his men. They rode into the village on horseback, their faces hardened, their eyes cold and calculating. Vayankarchandra, a towering figure with a cruel sneer playing on his lips, surveyed the village and its inhabitants with disdain. Fear gripped the hearts of the villagers. They knew of Vayankarchandra, a ruthless warlord who ruled through fear and intimidation.
You will give me what I demand: food, livestock, and your young men to serve in my army. Refusal is not an option.
A wave of terror swept through the village. The villagers huddled together, their faces pale, their bodies trembling. They were simple folk, unaccustomed to violence, unprepared for such aggression. They looked to their elder, their spokesperson, but even he seemed at a loss for words.
What do? We can't fight them.
The villagers were trapped, their peaceful lives shattered by the arrival of Vayankarchandra and his men. The future seemed bleak, and hope was a distant memory. It was then that Ruru stepped forward. She had regained her strength, and with it, a steely resolve bloomed in her eyes.
The villagers looked at her in surprise, then with a flicker of hope.
She may not have been one of them, but she had found sanctuary in their midst, and she would not stand by and watch them be terrorized.
She stood tall, her voice clear and strong as she addressed Vayankarchandra. We will not bow to your demands. We will fight for our homes, our families, our freedom.
Vayankarchandra laughed, a cruel, humorless sound.
You think you can defy me? You will learn your lesson.
He underestimated her, as he underestimated the courage that burned bright in the hearts of those he sought to oppress. Ruru rallied the villagers, her voice igniting a spark of defiance in their hearts. They would not bow to tyranny. The air crackled with a newfound determination. The battle was fierce, a clash of wills as much as a test of strength. The villagers, armed with whatever farming implements they could find, fought with the ferocity of cornered animals. They were outmatched, outnumbered, but not outspirited.
Ruru, wielding a fallen branch as a makeshift staff, moved with a grace and power that belied her slight frame. She fought with the fury of a woman protecting her own, her every blow fueled by righteous anger.
As the battle reached its peak, a lone figure emerged from the edge of the forest. Tall and imposing, his face etched with concern, Pike had returned. He had been away, hunting for food, only to return to find the village under attack. His eyes scanned the battlefield, searching frantically for Ruru.
Relief washed over him as he saw her, battered but unbroken, leading the villagers with a warrior's spirit. Ruru, I'm here.
Pike, a seasoned warrior himself, immediately joined the fray. His presence, his skill, bolstered the villagers' morale.
He fought his way to Ruru's side, their eyes meeting for a fleeting moment, a silent exchange of love, concern, and pride.
Together they fought as one, their movements synchronized, their spirits entwined. The tide of the battle began to turn. Vayankarchandra, enraged by the unexpected resistance, charged into the heart of the fight, his eyes fixed on Ruru.
You will not defeat me.
He sought to break their spirit, to crush their defiance. But he had underestimated them.
With a cry of defiance, Ruru met his attack head-on. Their staffs clashed, the force of the impact reverberating through the air. For a moment they were locked in a deadly embrace, their eyes locked in a battle of wills. Then, with a final surge of strength, Ruru disarmed Vayankarchandra, sending his staff flying through the air.
With their leader defeated, Vayankarchandra's men lost their nerve. They scattered, fleeing back into the forest from whence they came. The villagers, exhausted but victorious, erupted in cheers. They had defended their homes, their families, their way of life.
We did it. We really did it.
As the dust settled, Ruru and Pike stood together, their chests heaving, their bodies bruised, but their spirits unbroken. They embraced, a silent acknowledgement of the battle they had fought, the victory they had won, and the love that bound them together.
I never doubted you for a moment, Ruru.
Later, as the village gathered around a bonfire, celebrating their victory, Ruru finally shared her story. She spoke of her amnesia, her struggle for survival, and the kindness of the villagers that had given her a new lease on life.
I don't remember everything, but I remember enough. Enough to know that I am grateful to all of you.
As she spoke, fragments of her past began to resurface like shards of a broken mirror. She remembered flashes of her life before, of a kingdom in turmoil, of a daring escape and a relentless pursuit. She remembered Pike, her heart aching at the memory of their love, a love that transcended time and hardship. He listened intently, his eyes filled with love and concern, as she pieced together the fragments of her past.
Whatever happened back then, we face it together now.
He held her hand, his touch a source of strength and comfort, as she confronted the pain of her lost memories. Despite the hardships she had endured, Ruru found solace in the love of Pike and the unwavering support of the villagers.
We are with you, Ruru, always.
She realized that while her past may have been stolen from her, her future was still hers to write. And she would write it here, in this village, with these people who had shown her such kindness and courage. Together, they would rebuild, stronger than before, their bonds forged in the fires of adversity.
This is my home now, our home.
The village, scarred but not broken, slowly began to heal. The villagers, inspired by Ruru's courage and Pike's strength, faced the future with renewed hope. They began the arduous task of rebuilding their homes, their fields, their lives. Each swing of the hammer, each seed sown, was a testament to their resilience, their refusal to be cowed by fear.
Every day we grow stronger, together.
Ruru and Pike, their love deepening with each passing day, stood side by side with the villagers, their hearts filled with gratitude and purpose. They shared their knowledge, their skills, their unwavering belief in the power of community.
We have each other, that's what matters.
The village, once a haven for Ruru, became a place of healing and growth for both of them.
We are not just surviving, we are thriving.
As the sun rose each morning, casting its golden light over the village, Ruru felt a profound sense of peace. The past, with its pain and uncertainty, no longer defined her. She had found her place, her purpose, her home. She had found love, not just with Pike, but with the villagers who had taken her in, who had fought alongside her, who had taught her the true meaning of courage and resilience.
Look at what we've built, Ruru. It's beautiful.
The river, once a symbol of her pain and confusion, now represented a new beginning. Its waters, flowing endlessly towards the horizon, mirrored the boundless possibilities that lay ahead. The journey from the riverbank to the heart of the village had been long and arduous, but it had been a journey of transformation, of discovery, of love. And as Ruru gazed out at the horizon, hand in hand with Pike, she knew that the best was yet to come.
The best is yet to come, Pike. I can feel it.